Greetings, it is I, Tantus Naravan Jacovan, Lord and Emperor of the Jacovan Empire, and welcome. It is time to continue my discussion on the lands, legends, planes, and planeswalkers of Magic the Gathering, where I choose one of these topics, introduce you to its history, its backstory, and help establish some more of the settings of Magic the Gathering. Today I'm extending from a previous topic I talked about, Mirrodin, and introducing you to the new plane in its place, New Phyrexia. So it was Karn who brought the glistening oil to Mirrodin. He brought it there. And so the infestation of Phyrexia began deep within his plane. It spread, infecting the core, infesting Memnarch, driving him mad. But even after the fall of Memnarch, the corruption spread, and it had long since already established itself, webbing itself into there, as it began to rise and bubble up through the core of this planet, which proved to be ideal for it. Remember, Phyrexia was a plane of black mana and colorless artifact-colored mana. It was of death and machine. This was a plane of machine, with life on it, which it could corrupt to its ways. So of course this was ideal. As it spread, though, as it grew, the Mirrodins suspected nothing. They didn't know about it. They didn't know it was too late until they launched its attacks, but something odd occurred within here. It had only been used to black mana, other than the colorless mana of artifacts. This planet, this plane, had all 5 colors. And so we saw all 5 colors being integrated into this new version of Phyrexia, a Phyrexia which could use all 5 colors of mana, not just black mana anymore. It had changed dramatically, and each of these mana influxes caused influxes in the way that the Phyrexians of that color acted and thinked. It led to leaders arising in each of these groups, praetors. Elesh Norn is the white praetor of Unity, who has these fascist-like ideals for unity and this almost theological idealism for the way that she goes about things. Jin Gitaxias is the blue praetor of experimentation, who is, of course, as it sounds, master of experimenting, believes in those experiments in order to find new weaknesses for their enemies, experimenting to exploit and understand the very essence of the enemy. Sheoldred is the black praetor of enslavement, who believes in slaughter and subjugation. She is the most traditional in the ways that Phyrexians think. She is, of course, black mana, the traditional Phyrexian mana. Urabrask is the red praetor of industry, believing in creating greater and greater monstrosities in weapons, basically improving upon them. But red mana has had an interesting effect, as, like all Phyrexians of red mana, they're fiercely independent, and emotional even sometimes. So an interesting effect with the red mana. Vorinclex is the green praetor of predation, who believes in effectively survival in the fittest, and the greatest and strongest will devour the weakest and become those that basically inherit everything. Interesting take on green mana. Each of these factions found themselves effectively taking over the areas that they had originally been associated with those mana. So each of them now has new locations. So where we saw the Razorgrass and the white mana, we now find the white-aligned Phyrexians, led of course by Elesh Norn, the Grand Cenobite. This is the machine orthodoxy. They are truly a religious organization in a way, with these scriptures called the Argent Etchings, which are sort of just put together from old Phyrexian information that has been etched deep within their basic souls, as best as you can call it. Now, the machine orthodoxy is not unified, though, per se. They divide into smaller sets, with each set looking to a different way to express the perfection that is the orthodoxy itself, their scriptures. Each one of them goes about it in a different manner, but they are all united under Elesh Norn, their grand ruler, and all of them can very easily unify together for this very purpose. The perfect hierarchy they hope to spread through the multiverse in the name of Phyrexia. Now the blue-aligned Phyrexians find themselves in the ruined halls of Lumengrad, the once great bastion of the Vedalken, masters of science on this plane, who now has a much different tone to it. The Progress Engine. They hold themselves to a higher level of perfection than any of the Phyrexians, believing that the constant experimentation they're doing helps them find new levels of perfection deep within themselves and the very world they're altering. Across the Quicksilver Sea, you will find dozens, hundreds of small labs independently there. Though they could also be described as slaughterhouses, where they take life and reorganize it, experimenting it on it constantly to find new lives and new technologies which they can use to orchestrate their greater plan at whole, to find that great kernel of perfection they seek. One of their greatest inventions that they have had so far is the Meld Web. They use the old pools of insight. They effectively filled with the hundreds of brains of sentient beings and linked them all together, creating one massive web of intellect. The Black Align Phyrexians are all about corruption, slaughter, enslavement. They, of course, as I said, are led currently by Sheldred, but she is only the top of these groups called the Thanes within the Black Align Phyrexians. The 7 Steel Thanes are effective rulers within this mana color, within the Black Phyrexians, and she currently is on top, but just barely, as they all compete with each other for this power. All of them see themselves as effective reincarnations of Yawgmoth himself, the Machine Father, and hope to basically gain control of everything and spread out their version of what this is. This also means that there's constant bickering and infighting amongst them, the slaughter wholesale between those of the Black Alignment. Those of the Red Aligned Phyrexians, they were the ones that effectively developed the Furnace Layer. They are the ones that have mastered it, mimicking one of the old layers from the old Phyrexia, basically mimicking it very similarly. There is where the metalwork of the entire Phyrexian basic system happens, run by those of the Quiet Furnace. Here, they melt down all kinds of metals and often recycle things from the surface, from both sides of the conflicts. Mirrodins and Phyrexians alike are melted down and repurposed into new tools to be used back at the surface. The Red Phyrexians, as I said, are unique. They're independent. They can feel emotions much differently than others. Some of them, though, have moved up into the Oxidia chains and even taken over to the surface. So not all of the Red Aligned Phyrexians are down deep within the Quiet Furnace. Most of them are. Now, as I said, they feel independence as the Red Aligned. Red mana gives them this emotion, this passion. It allowed them to feel empathy for the Mirrodins. Empathy. Urabrask allowed the Mirrodins down into the Furnace Layer to basically stay and to hide. And he basically told his people, ignore them. Eventually, he even sealed the Furnace Layer in hopes to protect them, to basically keep things out. And most of the time, they are kept to themselves. But, especially the Machine Orthodoxy, looks to them with suspect. The Green Aligned Phyrexians were the first to strike and the first to conquer. The Tangle fell first to them. The Vicious Swarm, a group that believes in predation, survival of fittest, where the weakest are eaten and devoured by the strongest, where instinct is key and satience is unused and unneeded. It is weak in comparison to what true instinct drives the predators, of becoming larger, meaner, and more deadly. Vorinclex is, of course, the praetor here, but the real power within this group lies with Glissa. She is truly the commander of this, the ruler of this territory. Now, this does not mean the Mirrodins have been defeated here. Many of the races do survive, but they are scattered into encampments of rebels with no central hierarchy, many of them hiding in the Furnace Layer. Unfortunately, some of their hierarchy has fallen. Elspeth is gone, dying on Theros. Venser gave up his life to save Karn. Of course, Koth remains, but things have been happening that have affected him even too. The battle, though, continues. There are a number of main camps, though, that still exist, where the Mirrodins have remained strong in the hopes to purge Phyrexians from their land and regain it. Bladehold in the Razorgrass, led by their hero, Rhea Ivor, basically carved out a small area where they were to keep the Phyrexians out. Currently, they have secret circles within the Razor Grass that special magics allow them to travel down and hide within the furnace layer, allowing them to strike back against the Phyrexians when they can. They have maintained this sort of section of it on their own. The Leonids have their own lakes, Lowrite, near the Caves of Light. They themselves have protective magics to prevent them from the heat coming out from the furnace in this area, and they are led by one of their current Ka, a very powerful one, Kember, hoping to regain some of Lean in might in this area. Within the Tangle is Seedling, originally created by Milerna, and with the help of Thrun, the last troll upon Mirrodin. Milerna was born without any kind of metal in her body, so she is unique. She's unique, she's immune to the Pheresis, that which afflicts many of those that have escaped, even then, many of them dying from it in amongst these camps. But she is immune and can help cure some of it, so there are others immune that she can share this with. Her camp here is very powerful, as it is near the Radix, within the Tangle, but she remains strong here with her fortifications here. And the last one is Slagmaw, the largest of the camps, deep within the furnace layer. The Resistance has had some victories. Karn was freed from Phyrexian control. Of course, he has unfortunately left his home plane in hopes of preventing Phyrexians from invading the various other places he visited and may have left glistening oil behind. He is attempting that. But also, Milerna. She, the only Mirrodin born without metal in their body, ever, and immune to the effects of the Phyrexians. Keeping her alive and safe has been seemingly key to their resistance, in hopes of one day purging the land of Phyrexia. But things don't go well. The loss of Karn, they were hoping that infighting would happen amongst the Praetors, that the factions would battle it out. But Elish Norn managed to defeat the forces of both Urbarask and Sheoldred, and effectively has now named herself the new Father of Machines. Mother of Machines. So currently, she rules over all of New Phyrexia, with the other Praetors giving subjugation to her. What this means for the future is hard to say. So that's it for today. I introduced you to what Mirrodin has become, New Phyrexia. I described its various factions who have taken up new residence in the old territories, that they have new ways of doing things here. Described the various leaders, what this new world is like. Much similar, but different. The old Phyrexia. They've taken the influence of the various manas that they have found here and changed things dramatically. We've seen that Jin Gitaxias is beginning to experiment with other colors of mana, so there's beginning to be a mixture between them too. What will this mean for the future when Phyrexians begin to actually mix manas? What will it mean? Right now, they're still fragmented. They are united under one Grand Praetor, the current leader of them all, but there's still dissension amongst them. They still despise each other to a degree. Changes that occur in the future are hard to say. But it's interesting to know that this powerful source of danger to the multiverse exists out here now. And there's still a resistance against it. What will happen here in the future? I hope we can see soon enough. So, if you have any questions, comments, anything to say, anything you think I left out, please leave in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. It shows support the channel, the Empire, the work I do. If you want to show some extra support, you can always check out my Patreon, link description below. If you want to check out some other Magic content, I can recommend 3 great people. Card Bazaar, They Said, We Said, and Tasty Snackies. They do some great Magic the Gathering content, along with some other things too. But if you want to check out some more Magic stuff, and I'm out of things, go ahead and check them out. Regardless, until the next time, I bid you farewell.